Welcome back to my channel. I am Jamie and I am a homeschooled mom to 4 beautiful children. Their ages are 4, 6, 6, and 11. And today I want to share with you our story of how we became homeschoolers. So growing up, I went to a very tiny school in a very tiny town in the Midwest, and my husband was also from about 25 minutes away from me in a bigger city, and he went to a pretty large school. In fact, he doesn't even know half of the people that he ended up graduating with, whereas my graduating class was 9 people. And so we came from 2 educational different backgrounds. When we got married and we started having kids, never did we discuss homeschooling at all. We just always knew our kids were going to go into public school when they became of age, and there was nothing wrong with it at all. And so when our first child turned 4, we went ahead, we put her in the local preschool. We had a really great experience with it. We did question, because she has a summer birthday, if we should hold her back for a second year of preschool, and they encouraged us to go ahead and send her to kindergarten, that she seemed right on track with exactly where she needed to be. And so we went ahead, she barely turned 5, we sent her to kindergarten, which is in the same building as where her preschool was, which was the same tiny town school that I went to also, so I was so excited about that. And she went for the whole entire year of kindergarten there, and she did great. She blossomed. We absolutely loved all of the staff, and in fact, some of the staff is the same staff that I had when I went to school there also. And so we had a great experience. Then we decided to move to where my husband was originally from. So we were pretty picky choosy where we ended up moving as far as what school district we were going to get into. And so we made sure to get into one of the top elementaries for the school district, and we were super happy that that's where our kids were going to be getting their education. So in first grade, she ended up going. She did really well. Her teacher was completely awesome, great communication, but we did notice some struggling with stuff. And then in second grade, she also went again. The teacher was great for second grade. I just think that her teaching style and my child's learning style just didn't mesh well. I think they were kind of on different ends of the spectrum, so to say. And so we really noticed a lot of frustration coming from our child in second grade, and that kind of concerned us. I did reach out to the teacher multiple times, and I asked her time and time again, you know, is she just very distracted? Is she not listening? Is she talking to others? Is she staring out the window? Is she just doodling on her paper? And all I would get as a response was, I don't know, just complete these at home. Well, then when we were sitting down to complete them, which oftentimes was math homework, when we would sit down to complete them, she would take like 3 hours to do 8 problems in math, and you could tell the light bulb just was never ever clicking on. And so we became even more concerned as parents, because we didn't feel like she should be struggling at this point, and how can she move on to do simple things like multiplication if she doesn't understand the basis of addition. And so when we ended up reaching out again to her teacher, we were told to get her evaluated for a learning disability by her local pediatrician. So fast forward, our next step, we didn't have a concern that there was truly any learning disability, but we also wanted to go ahead and make sure that we were correct on this. And so we went to the local pediatrician. He agreed with us. She seemed completely normal. We were questioning, is there just a lack of motivation? But in my gut as the mom, I honestly knew she just honestly didn't understand how to get everything that she needed to. She was struggling in reading, she was struggling in spelling, she was struggling really hard in math. And it was even simple stuff like in second grade, she wasn't recognizing that, like when I held up my hand, that this is automatically 5. And I felt like she should have really recognized that way back in kindergarten. And so me as a mom, my heart was just breaking, because I felt like you're gone all day from me and I can't help you. And by the time you get home and we get done with your homework that you have no energy or focus left. And so how do I help you get caught up? So I had already been looking a little bit into homeschool, definitely watching YouTube videos on homeschool, and I was currently pregnant with our 4th baby, and she was supposed to be due in November when my oldest would be going into 3rd grade. So we had decided a little bit into 2nd grade, I'm pretty sure it was by Christmas break, that we were starting to get pretty interested in homeschooling her, even if it was only for a year or two, to get her caught up and make her understand and get her where she needed to be confident in school again, because we absolutely saw in 2nd grade her love of learning went out the door. Her spirit was crushed, and I don't think this teacher meant to do it. I just think, like I said, I think her teaching style and my child's learning style is 2 things. And at this point, their class size was like 30 kids, and they consistently had 1 kid that was having violent behaviors, and multiple times during the day they would have to clear the classroom. And so I think she was kind of caught in that middle and being left behind. And I think the teacher, the resources are just so spread thin also. So around Christmas time of her 2nd grade year, we had decided, yeah, definitely homeschool is something we want to look more into. So we got pregnant with child number 4, and very shortly after, we learned that it was a super high-risk pregnancy, and we only had a 5% chance of bringing that baby home alive. So she was due in November, and I was so scared that if I pulled my oldest from school at that point, that I would not have a good focus to be able to do school with her, because my fear was so high. And I was also so fearful that if something happened to this baby, I don't know how I would be able to mourn the loss of the baby and also be able to keep her where she needs to be for school. So we let her finish out the whole entire 2nd year of school. So then we found out our baby had to come by 36 weeks. You cannot go after 36 weeks with the condition that we had. And so we decided, whether something happened to the baby or not, we weren't sending our child back after 2nd grade. We chose that even if that means we take 6 months to a year off, that is fine. So we ended up keeping her home from school, and I had bought all the curriculum to do 3rd grade level work for her. And I knew where she was as far as what she was doing in school. And so I felt pretty darn prepared to be able to do this. Then the brakes screeched so fast. Basically, every subject she was struggling. And I thought maybe if I just explained it in a different way and really took the time with her, she could still do the 3rd grade work. And like I said, she has a July birthday, so she was always the youngest one in her class. And so I decided we were just going to repeat 2nd grade again. And that was the best decision I ever made. There was certain subjects that I had to go back to almost a kindergarten level on and really start at the basics and build it up for her. Best decision, best time I ever spent. Her least favorite subject was always math when she was in school. She would always cry. She would always drag her feet because she didn't understand it. She would sit there and say, "I'm so stupid." And we as parents would try to encourage her and let her know, no, you know, subjects are hard. You will get this. But now that is her favorite subject. That is her subject she asks for extra work in. That is the subject she wants to do first, and it is amazing. I give her new concepts all the time, and she just flies through it. And it is amazing to see that transformation in your child. So homeschooling, we have now been homeschoolers. This is our 4th year. The first year was just homeschooling her, and as I said, I repeated a 2nd grade level. We did even a lot of extra subjects because there was just so much basis in her learning that she was just missing. And so we really had to build it up. Took a lot of extra time with her, and I have to say, one of my regrets with it was just too much pressure on her, but now seeing the learner she is, it was all worth it. It was perfect. The twins would have just turned 3 at that time, and then we had the baby also. So the twins, I was working with them with school, but it was very when they're ready to do it, for how long they want to do it. Let's learn our ABCs, let's recognize them, let's count, let's do colors, let's write our name. Let's work on a lot of fine motor things such as cutting and gluing and shapes, all those little basic things that you would do with a just turned 3-year-old. And so then the baby was just along for the ride with us. Now fast forward to 4 years later, and I have to say my only regret on our homeschool journey is that I didn't pull my child sooner. I know when we were going to the tiny town school, I even thought of homeschooling then. I always made the comment when my child was in preschool and I was pregnant with the twins. I used to always say, I miss her so much. I would homeschool her if I could. And I always believed, like most parents, that I wasn't capable of homeschooling my own child and that those children will turn out weird and all this kind of stuff. And so my only regret is that I didn't do it way back then when I wanted to. And so I'm so happy that my husband is fully supportive of it. When I brought it up to him, he said, sure, when do you want to start? And even now, we absolutely love it. It's been a huge blessing to our family. It's given us so much freedom. We get to instill a lot of extra values and build confidence and think of character building things. And a lot of the other parents that I talk to that their kids go to the same school, they're talking about bullying and they're talking about some subjects that we just don't want to get in with our kids quite yet. We want them to be able to stay little for longer because everybody knows you have your whole life to be a grown-up. And so that is our story of how we became homeschoolers. We are a little bit eclectic. We do some religious things, some secular things, some traditional things. We change our schedule to what we need it to be for sometimes each month at a time because I also work outside of the home. We love to travel, and so homeschool gives us that freedom also. And so homeschool in the end, as I said, has been the biggest blessing. Do we think that we will always homeschool, or do we think that we will send them to high school? My gut says we will always homeschool, but we always give the kids options. We ask each kid every single year what is their choice, and if they were to choose public school, I would make sure to ask what their reasoning for it behind it is, because sometimes they think high school is more what is on the TV, or that high school is like super cool and you can just sit there and chit chat all day and not hard work and it's just about sports and stuff. And so we would have a deeper conversation with any child that would let us know that they want to go to public school. All right, let me know down below. Are you a homeschooler? How many kids do you homeschool and what are their ages? And how many years have you homeschooled? So I want to get to know you guys better. I want to help grow our community and encourage each other and raise each other up, because sometimes this is a really hard journey, but we all know it's such a great journey at the same time.